doesn't. And what you'll get now is people who've spent a couple of years pretending to care about free speech suddenly switching off that gene and either supporting or staying silent about that television presenter. Here's another one in the United States of America. Here's another television presenter speaking this week.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why?
Just listen to that again. And no one's...
That boy just said, or involuntary lethal injections. They're talking about the homeless. He said if the homeless people don't want to take some of the help that you're giving them, to kill them. Did y'all hear that? And it's going to be played again. But these are the people that are trying to tell you about freedom of speech, and that they're Christians and they're loving people, and that this is a Christian nation. These are the ones trying to demonize everyone else whenever something happens to them, and trying to say that, oh, the other people are hateful. They did this. They're behind this. This is them. Listen to this.
Shocked. No one even draws breath. Let's euthanize homeless people, says a presenter on Fox News.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide.
You can't give them a choice. You're going to force them to do something. What did I tell you? This side is all about forcing their way. If you don't agree with them, they're going to force you. The same way that they forced people out of this land years ago. Forced people out of this land. Forced people to work for them, free of labor, free of charge. Free of payment, free labor. It's all about force, force, force. No compassion, no love. And then many of these homeless people, man, they may have mental issues caused by this same government. The ways that we live, different mental health issues. A lot of stuff is just, a lot of mental issues are brought about by this country itself. By the different things that are put in place to just make folks kind of break down sometimes. By the different things that are promoted. But they don't care. See, it's never about how can we fix the products that we made. It's all about you having to fix it for yourself. And if you don't, so be it. We're going to force something on you. We're going to force our way, our policies, our way of living on you. That's the American way. To force your way, to force your will, to force your opinion. There is no free speech. It's only free as long as you agree with them.
That you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina.
Now that boy said involuntary. What? Like, do you know how crazy and sinister that is? This man just said if the homeless people don't want to get off the streets or take whatever help that we're going to give them, just involuntarily give them lethal injections and kill them. And the other guy said, yep. And then they just continued on with the conversation as if this man on live TV didn't just say, let's kill homeless people that don't want the help. Or do y'all understand how sinister and evil this is? But these are the same people that say that they abide by Christian values. This is unreal.
Wake up.
Involuntary lethal injection. So they're in real time on Fox News, a man called Brian Kilmeade, not joking, let me make that absolutely clear, not joking, not even claiming to be joking,
nope.
In all seriousness, suggests killing homeless people. Involuntary lethal injection. He subsequently apologised. But
of course he apologized because he didn't want the backlash, but he meant every word of it. He said it clearly. No laughing, no joking. He said it clearly and he meant it. See, some people aren't sorry for what they're saying. They're sorry for the consequences that they feel are going to come. But see, that's the type of individual, like I said, that's the type of individual. Yeah, I don't know why he's not terminated from his job, because they love him and they don't care what you say. They love that type of speech. But that's the kind of individual I don't want to work next to. If I was that woman or that man sitting next to him, which they probably agree with it, so that's why they don't feel threatened. But I would be scared to work next to someone like that, who feels as though people who don't want to line up with their way of thinking ought to be executed. Especially people who are not causing hurt or harm towards you. Not people who are trying to kill you, not people who are trying to hurt you, but people who just don't want to live according to the way that you want them to live. I would be terrified to show up to work every single day with someone like that. That's someone who you do not know when they're going to show up to work and want to harm everyone because they're having a bad day or suffer from the same mental illness one day that these same people who they are saying that they want to lethally inject may suffer from.
He wasn't joking. So I don't know what he's apologized for. Maybe his free speech is under threat. And then Jimmy Kimmel, who we will listen to again, has been suspended from his job for this.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the...
Oh, that is insane. I think very good. How do you feel about your friend that you propped up so highly? How do you feel about his death? How are you doing after this? I think very good. Now, if you take a look to your to your left, you'll see all of these trucks that are here to bring in my new construction material for this new building that I'm building that we've been waiting over 150 years to build. Like, this is insane, bro. They just use these events to push forth their politics, bro. They don't care. It's almost like some of them do not have a soul, bro. I'm not saying this for the sake of politics, because I'm quite sure there's people on both sides who do things like this. I'm talking about people, though, and the things that comes out of these people's mouth.
New ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years, and it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction.
And they're mad at this man for posting what he said. And Trump is the same one telling ABC, yeah, you need to get rid of them, get rid of him. I'm glad you all finally did what you know needed to be done. Like, dude, you're mad because he quoted you. He played your video of what you said. He didn't lie on you. He didn't put any words in your mouth.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
So the way it happened was that a couple of distributors, Nexstar and Sinclair, Nexstar most obviously, essentially said they would no longer broadcast the Jimmy Kimmel show on their stations. And that is where the pressure is applied from. I think they are in the business of, or in the process of doing a deal that would need approval from a Donald Trump appointee. So clearly it has...
And see, that TV station is in the midst of a deal to renegotiate for a deal, and they're going to need someone who is tied in with Trump. They're going to need a vote from this person. They're going to need some help from this person. And so to appease this person, you're going to have to cancel this man because he says something about Trump. If not, if you don't agree with us, we're going to crush you. This is what these people do. If you don't agree with our opinion, if you make fun of us, if you use your freedom of speech to say anything against us, we're going to do whatever we can to hold you up, crush you, and prohibit you from moving forward and being successful with any endeavors that you have. That's the equivalent to taking my ball and going home. I'm not going to let any of you play with my ball if I can't play. If I don't get picked, none of you are playing with my basketball or my football. It's childish, bro. It's very childish. This is not what the Bible means when it says, unless we become like children. That's not what it means. That verse is referring to us loving, forgiving. You know, children play with each other, fight. 5 seconds later, they forgive each other and they're playing with each other again. It's not meaning to act childish and throw tantrums. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to ruin you.
Struck them or been made clear to them that the president is unhappy with having his own words played out on the television, having his own answer to a question. This is where my conviction that this is all rather more serious than a television presenter losing their job. A president essentially getting someone fired, not for saying things about the president, essentially, but for showing people footage of the president. That's the point, right? It's not, I mean, you know, you can ask for homeless people to be killed. Okay, keep your job. Not even draw shock from your own colleagues in a Fox News studio.
Yep.
And Fox News is essentially the media wing of the MAGA movement, despite some brief wobbles. And you can show your audience footage of Donald Trump responding in an extraordinarily crass fashion to the murder of somebody widely portrayed as a close friend and ally of him. And that's what gets you into trouble.
How would you feel if something happened to you and they ask one of your friends, how did you feel about the loss of your friend? And they're like, oh, yes, I think I'm doing a little bit better. But take a look at this new truck that I just bought. Oh, yes, my buddy. Yes, I'm so sad about that. But on another note, I will be closing on my house this week. Like, what does that even sound like?
Showing the audience what Donald Trump is like appears to be what gets you into trouble. So what we have here is regime-adjacent oligarchs clamping.
Yeah. Any time that you put eyes on Trump and the foolishness of some of the things that he says or the hatefulness of some of the things that he does, he's going to try to get you up out of there. He can't handle it at all. Has something to say about everyone, but he can't handle it when people point out some of the evil things that he says and does.
Down on free speech in the most extraordinary fashion. So I think, and then I worry, and thank you for indulging me today, but then I worry, I worry about media talking about media. I always have. I did the media show on Radio 4 yesterday. Media talking about media is something I love, but I am in the media. It's like one of my favourite subjects. And this feels bigger than that, right? This feels much bigger than that. Do you know what the Reichstag fire is? Sorry, I'm patronising you. Of course you do. And just in case...
And some people may not know what the Reichstag fire is, but I think he's going to get into it and break it down. But so much, listen, man, so much of what we do in this country, we learn from Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. Their propaganda machine, Joseph Goebbels. If you ever get a chance, look up Joseph Goebbels, who was the minister of propaganda for Nazi Germany. He's the one that will put together the videos and the, kind of commercials for the propaganda to just make people proud of Nazi Germany, proud of the things that they were doing, proud of this new race that they were chasing, proud to be a part of trying to eliminate certain people from their culture, from their country. He was the one who assisted Adolf Hitler in getting a whole country to back him and be behind him as he tried to exterminate the Jews. and anyone else that didn't agree with them. Americans, we saw that and we envied that. Not only did we envy their scientists, because we took all of Russia took some, but we took some too. That's where the whole Cold War came from. You can look into the Cold War after this if you like. But the Cold War, in which it was a war between the United States and Russia after World War II, to threaten each other with all of the weapons that we were creating to show each other that if you play with me, I'll hit you with this weapon. Well, if you play with me, I'm going to hit you with this weapon. Yeah, well, if you play with me, I'll hit you with this weapon. And guess who was creating all of these new inventions and new weapons that the United States and Russia were showing to each other? Scientists that we both had taken from Nazi Germany. See, rather than executing those individuals for war crimes and punishing them as they should have been according to wartime laws, you know what America did? We employed them. Guess who founded NASA, y'all? The great space exploration department of America. Guess who founded NASA, y'all? Look this up. A Nazi German scientist. You think I'm lying? This is something that I had been came across. Let me see right quick. Because I don't want to just say things. I want to be able to. Yeah, Werner von Braun. Yeah, that's his name. Werner von Braun was a key figure in the Nazi regime's rocket program, who later became a pivotal leader in the U.S. space program and NASA. He was one of the most important rocket developers and champions of space exploration in the 20th century. And rather than punishing him for his contributions to the Nazi weapons program, we employed him, gave him a job. Why? Because we needed what he knew to be able to keep up with Russia so that they wouldn't take over in terms of weaponry in the world. See, we'll excuse a lot of things as Americans. We will excuse a lot of evil as Americans when it benefits us. But the second someone says anything that contradicts what we believe in, we want them punished and eliminated.
You don't.
But back to the Reichstag, incident.
One Dutch communist set fire to the Reichstag in Germany in the 1930s. And Adolf Hitler claimed that it was part of a much, much bigger movement. And he used this moment to essentially shut down liberties, to close down democracy, to cease freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And
see, this is what Adolf Hitler did. The Reichstag building, which was like the I don't know. It was like a very important government building in Germany. But they set fire to it themselves. But then blamed it on others in order to justify the war that they wanted to start. In order to justify some of the hatefulness that they were going to have against many Jewish people and many other different people. It's what we kind of call false flag attacks. It's what we may even consider 9/11 sometimes. Something that was of our own doing that we use to start wars with other people. But we do these things so that we can fool our own citizens into backing us before we start these things. This isn't the first time it happened. I want to say it might have been World War I. the Gulf of Tonkin incident. I think that's what it's called, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, in which, let me see, I don't want to say the wrong thing and then sound foolish. Let me see, false flag attack of August 4th, 1964. It was the attack on a USS Maddox and USS Turner Joy. These were two different ships. Served as the flashpoint that President Johnson needed to secure congressional approval for expanded U.S. involvement in Vietnam. So it wasn't World War I, it was in Vietnam. Sunk our own ships. Torpedoed our own ships so that we could say that someone else did it, so that we could go and fight in Vietnam. There are a lot of incidents that America uses that they are behind, or they lie about who was behind it in order to push a political agenda to do things that they want to do. I'm telling you right now, they want a civil war in this country. Why? I don't know. I don't know why the devil does a lot of things that he does. But there's always ways that they benefit from war, that they benefit from confusion, destruction. But that's why as soon as this man was shot, as soon as Charlie Kirk was shot, you saw people all over the internet talking about, man, I saw a couple of Europeans online talking about Trump, just give us the word and we'll start this civil war right now. Like, hold up. What do you mean start this civil war? Who's looking to start a... And I heard other people saying, like, we're a new type of Christians. We're not the Christians that's just going to sit around anymore and just let anything happen to us. We're going to come out there and hunt you down. Hunt who down? Are you talking about black folks? Are you talking about immigrants? Who are you talking about? But what Christian in their right mind even has it in themselves to go and hunt anyone down when you're supposed to be harmless as a dove? What Christian is even ready to be on the offensive to go and bring harm towards people? When you're supposed to be sheep led to the slaughter. Something isn't right. Something isn't adding up. You have a different spirit of you. You have a different spirit in you. That spirit isn't of the Father. It might be like how Jesus told a lot of the Pharisees, you are of your father, the devil. See, it's too easy to identify who's truly a Christian and who is not. You will know them by their fruits. If you produce murder, you can't be of my Father. Don't lie and tell me that Jesus told the disciples that they needed to get ready for war. I don't care about how you try to twist the scripture of sell everything that you have and go and buy swords and this and that. The second Peter used that sword, Jesus rebuked him and then healed the man in whom he harmed when he cut his ear off. He healed that man. How did Jesus tell you to go out and hunt people down when he told you to turn the other cheek? No, Jesus warned his disciples of days of persecution that were coming towards them. So that's a lie when someone is telling you about how being a Christian is going out and fighting people and killing people that don't agree with you. They have never been given those instructions from my Father or from my Messiah. But that's what the Reichstag situation was. Hitler used that as a false flag pretense to be able to get people to back him up. Because see, that's what America does a lot of times. They have these things that take place. American citizens get scared, and then they step in and say, hey, we can protect you all. But in order to protect you, this is what we're going to need to do. Is it okay if we do this? And American citizens are so scared that they just say, yes, do whatever it is that you need to do. You can even look at my emails. You can even monitor my phones. You can even monitor my computers. Whatever you need to do to keep me safe. You can go over there to that country and kill those people. Whatever you need to do. Just keep me safe. Just keep me and my children and my family that may have stolen this land from natives and enslaved black folks to cultivate it. Just keep us safe. We don't care what you do to anyone else, including ourselves. Just keep us safe. Keep this false image of the American dream safe. Once again, I have to keep saying this because the devil is slick. I don't want him to use my words to rise up hate in you. But a lot of times the hypocrisy and the foolishness that you hear in this people, if you don't watch yourself, it will raise up the wrong feelings because it's the work of the devil. But this is to make you aware so that you don't fall into this same type of propaganda. You have to be loving. Even these foolish people that I'm talking about who think they are so special, who think they are so privileged. Man, you have to find a way to love them. You have to find a way to look past them, to look past the evil that they do. If you don't guard your heart, if you don't watch your heart, it'll rise up in you. You have to be in real, true, sincere prayer to escape those things.
And when Charlie Kirk was murdered, a few people mentioned that this could be a Reichstag fire moment, including people on Donald Trump's side of the political aisle. And I think I have a reluctance to go there. Is it fear? Is it a form of cowardice? I don't want to confront the possibility of this being as bad as some people say that it is. So I mentioned the Reichstag fire to you last week, but I didn't go all in on it. And
I'm not mad at him for that, for saying that he doesn't want to really consider it that, because he just may be a loving individual who wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, to think that there are not people out here that evil who will do such things. And many Americans are naive, and they don't think that those type of things are possible. So they'll say, there's no way that that's what's happening. But we've seen it time and time again. But I'm not mad at him for that. He seems like a good dude.
I've watched what's happened subsequently. People being encouraged to inform upon their neighbours, people being encouraged to inform upon their colleagues, people being encouraged.
Now that is what's crazy. One thing that took place in Nazi Germany is that it was told to you that it was your duty to tell on your neighbor if your neighbor was against the government. Literal people would be telling on family members, friends, co-workers, whoever it may be. You had to watch your conversations in Nazi Germany. Because if you said something that was anti-government and someone heard you, it could be someone that you knew and loved, but they might turn you in. There's a great movie about that. Man, I forget what that movie... Oh, man, I forget what that movie is called. Man, I forget what that movie is called. I'd have to look that up for you all right quick. Got it. So the movie I was thinking about was 1984. I knew it was a year. I knew that the movie was named after a year or something like that. But it's called 1984. It was set in a dystopian future where the party rules everything, led by Big Brother. See, that's what was so crazy about that show, Big Brother, with all of the cameras and everything else like that. But that term Big Brother has been used to kind of describe the government's watching eye. And this was about a country in which citizens were monitored constantly by telescreens, microphones, spies. So no one was feeling safe to speak freely. Even thoughts against the government were considered thought crimes. I'm not sure, but I think they may have even had a machine that they would hook up to your head and see if you had any bad thoughts against the government. And some of y'all think like this type of stuff is like far-fetched. But if they could have it set up like this, they most definitely would. And it was so much to the point to where a dude, he had met a woman and they secretly fell in love, but relationships outside of government control were banned, and it was considered rebellion. But they had a relationship together, and they were discovered by the thought police. That's what the police were called, the thought police. And they had a place called the Ministry of Love. Why it was called that? And how many of y'all know the government names things sometimes that means the exact opposite of what it is? Even when there's certain bills that are passed, certain laws that are passed, they're very tricky with these type of things. They'll name stuff different things to where to the naked eye, it seems like something good. But the name a lot of times has nothing to do with the actual laws that are being made in that bill. So you'll hear. So this is why people who don't know certain things about certain bills, you may vote for certain things just off the title alone. And then if you ever read the documentation of what that bill was all about, you'll be like, man, I would never vote for something like this. But you already did, because you thought it meant something just based off the title. That's why they say what? You never judge a book by its cover. But our propaganda and our government is very, very tricky with these type of things. But even in this movie, they had a place called the Ministry of Love, but it was anything but that. The Ministry of Love was where they would take you to interrogate you brutally, to make you crack and get your mind right and make you fall in line to the things that they wanted you to believe in. And so while the dude was in the Ministry of Love, he was tortured until he betrayed the woman that he was in love with. And then he had to fully submit to the party, to the government, quote unquote, to Big Brother, to loving Big Brother. But that's what it seems like right now, how anything you say or do, you have people online looking for you to say the wrong thing, and they're trying to turn it into your employer, turn it into your bosses, turn it into your company, and get you fired, get you reprimanded, get you disciplined. That's what's happening right now online. Right now online, that's what's happening. That's what's taking place.
To inform upon their teachers, their professors, their workmates, their friends for not being sufficiently reverent or somber in the context of Charlie Kirk's killing. And now you have Donald Trump apparently proscribing Antifa, which is a thing but not a thing. Like, tell me where they're headquartered. Tell me who funds them. Tell me who they are. Name some members. Who is the leader? You can't prescribe as a terrorist organization.
Antifa, which is supposed to be a terrorist organization, I guessed, from the Democratic side, Trump likes to bring them up for anything that he doesn't like. If somebody farts around him, he'll say that that's who was responsible for it. Anything he does not like, he tries to bring them up for that. Like, that's one of the buzzwords that he just loves to use. And I'm not saying that, I don't know what this group has done, or if I'm not sitting here acting as though there are absolutely no people from the Democratic side that are violent. I'm not naive. I'm not going to say that. But I'm just telling you some of the buzzwords that Republicans use to try to fearmonger.
Organization, something that you can't identify or see. But that is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. And they are using this phrase, the left, to somehow conflate Charlie Kirk's killer with everybody who thinks that Donald Trump is dangerous or dishonest. And he just is. He is dangerous and he is dishonest. That's just true. That's not an opinion. It's counting. Some people like that. That's fine.
If you don't believe that Donald Trump is dishonest and dangerous, along with whoever else, I don't care. Don't tell me just because I'm saying this about him. Don't bring up someone from the Democratic side and say, well, what about what about them? What about this? What about that? Man, you may very much be correct as well. But I'm not talking about them right now. I'm talking about one particular individual. He's dangerous. When you see how he promoted a lot of what took place on January 6th with the Capitol riots. There's a lot of different things that he's so slick about it. Not to me he is, but to many of you all. There's many people who will say, well, he never plainly said this. He never plainly said that. Yeah, but I know what his words allude to. I know about the spirit of his words. I know why so many people are comfortable, why they used to be comfortable at his rallies, to promote violence and to have fights breaking out and to punch on people who they didn't like. I know why people were in the streets all the times while he's been president to say the racist things that they said, to say the hateful things that they said because they felt as though they had a battery in their back. He ushered in a certain spirit of racism and hatred that many people who support him will deny. The same way that Obama ushered in a spirit of homosexuality. He most definitely did. But things don't have to be said clearly for you to be able to discern the spirit behind it. And see, that's just disingenuous to say, oh, well, such and such never fully said this. Yeah, you know what they're alluding to, though. Don't be crazy. You know what they were suggesting. Don't play dumb. Listen, if you want to just hear about the insensitivity of some of this man's comments and worst moments, like there's not much that he cares about besides himself. And I hate to say that. And with all this being said, how many of you know that I still didn't wish death upon him when he got shot? And I'm glad he didn't. That he wasn't killed. Because I know, see, some of y'all just found out about Charlie Kirk, but a lot of you hate Donald Trump. And I know for a fact, so many of you would have celebrated that and it would have made me sick. Because just because we don't agree with someone, I know you all would have celebrated that. Many of you all. And you would have felt as if you had a righteous pardon to do so, and you don't. But even with all this that I know about him, I still don't wish death upon the man. You know what I wish upon people who I don't agree with? I wish upon them a change of heart, a revelation, a visitation from the true and living God, a chance to get their heart, their minds, and their soul right. Not death. Not death. But this is another clip at a moment where he should be extremely sensitive. All he wants to do is talk about, once again, construction and buildings. This is right after 9/11, where all he wants to do is talk about how now his building is the tallest building in New York City again. Crazy. Just listen to this, man.
Donald, you have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually.
He asked the man, did he have any damage? All I asked you was, what kind of damage did you have to your building? And I think he starts off by saying it was an amazing phone call he had.
Buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest.
Who asked you that? He's asking you about damage and what's going on down there in that area. If I'm not mistaken, this call is actually on September 11th, on the day.
And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. And I just spoke to my people, and they said it's the most unbelievable sight.
And then he lies about a lot of stuff. He flat out lies about a lot of stuff, bro. Look how they say 70 Pine Street is listed as 25 feet taller than Trump's 40 Wall Street, but it just has less floors. But he will lie and just say anything and repeat it, because the more you repeat things, people just take it on. I've noticed that about him. Like, that's propaganda at its finest, though. You just keep repeating. Fake news. That came from him. Fake news. All of that comes from him. Those buzzwords.